Okay, y'all, I'm back with the Band-Aid because I was doing something else a little bit while I was waiting for the yard guys to be quiet, and so I cut my finger on the end. At any rate, so I talk in strategy here a little bit. This is my high spot now, so this is the big hump that needs to be dealt with. And there's different ways to try and deal with it, and it depends on what you're trying to save in the rock most. Like, for instance, there's always stuff you're going to lose in the rock no matter what you do. There just is. So you got to kind of decide, if you want to decide in advance, what point you're trying to make. That's fine and that's good. Help you locate the point in there and understand, like, do you need a bunch of this width or no? But so anyway, the other thing that determines what you can do is, how steep are the slopes? How much do you have to raise? So one of the things I could do is I can take this Buren flake along here and I can turn this and kind of zigzag around to here and raise that a little bit and attack from this end. I do have this chalk thing or whatever that is in there, but I think I could still get it from that end. This is a long shot at it. If I do this, I need to get rid of these deltas and concavities and then go downward a little bit to stiffen it up, the edge, make the edge a little thicker, and then adjust it again. And I'll probably take that shot simply because I can't envision any of this being in my finish point. But then the other thing is, of course, I could bevel down a little bit here and go up that. That's the shortest slope, and that'll work just fine too. But I'll end up with still some of this and some of this if I do that. And it all depends on if I want that in there. I still have holes here, so I don't know. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and do my little, get these little deltas off, bevel down, flip it, bevel back up, look at it, decide if I want to do a little bit of further raising it, look at it again, and try and create the optimal situation. So that's what I consider to be the best thing I can do just from this angle of attack. I'm not saying this is the best angle. So now I'm going to put my finger all the way along that and then hit it. And that lowered it a fair amount and took off quite a bit of it. So then it becomes, there's still a little ridge along here, and that's kind of already abraded. I'll just go ahead and hit that while I'm here. Trying to flatten a little. The problem with this particular thing, though, that I'm doing is I'm at an oblique angle on it all. So I'm not hitting in, I'm hitting kind of at an oblique angle, and that's not the best way to hit, but it does work. So that's just about the death of that turtle, because there's not really much hump left. Got that long ridge. I don't know what I can do with it, but guess I can miss. That hinged out right in here, but still lowered and flattened quite a bit. So now we want to do what I said before about coming over here. And that, is coming into that area that's lower, and it hinged out right there a little bit. And then one more. And I knew that was going to hinge into it, but I'm trying to flatten this end quite a bit since I'm already here. So now I've got, raise this a little bit more. Try and do that little flake along that ridge. Didn't hit hard enough. Stepped it out, no big deal. My finger band-aid may mess me up a little bit here. Okay, so come back underneath. Step that one out too, so now I'm starting to mess up. But again, no big deal. One of the cool things, you know, once you get to where you handle a lot of stuff, is you can make mistakes, but they're easier, and then you can fix them. This big old blob here needs to go, and some of it's on cortex. I'm going to try and catch at the edge of this cortex, hitting downward. And got rid of a lot of it, and cut off the edge of that thing there. I'm going to tap it down right here again. So now I go back the other way. Blending into the flatness. I mean, you got to get it flat eventually, so you might as well try and get it flat and keep it flat, I think. I still think convexity is overrated, although a lot of people want it. Come on, dear. Hit hard into there a little bit. And that raised this a little bit to try and deal with some of this humpiness. But this is thickness right in here, so I think before I do that, I'm going to get this weight off this end. Crystal pocket. Oh well. Okay, so I've got like a ledge here that I can hit obliquely and try and run one right along that little ridge. And that'll raise this even more for me to shoot back that way. So I'm hitting down, I'm angling it downward. Well, you may have seen it fly off. That really ran all the way along it a little bit and raised that striking point. That's enough of a little nub. You gotta know, you know, what you can hit, how much of a nub you need. That's enough of a nub for me to hit, so I'm gonna support underneath. Well, it broke. The flake cracked. Trying to take off a little bit of all that noise. Okay, so that cut off the top of that step and lowered it a little bit. Bring it back up a tiny bit. Gotta make sure it's crowned enough. I'm gonna try and come back and I'm trying to get some of that hump back here off. And that's cortex-y, so it's still flinty though too, it's not bad. And I'm continuing with that along this, trying to go backwards a little bit and try and get rid of some of that ridge. Came down to here, lowered it, still going backward a bit. Get more of that ridge, trying to flatten. So now I'm going this side because that's hanging down now. Still got a hole. I don't know what's going to happen with the little hole. Got a tiny little nub right here, but it's enough of a nub to get a hit on. And down, trying to smooth and get stuff even underneath here. Just always remember, don't have fantasy rock in your plans for the future on your point. If something's like hanging down and It's not, you know, in order to get flatness and the thinness of the point, it ain't going to be in it, and you can tell that. Don't pretend like because it's still there and looks like it's width or length that it's part of your point, because it ain't. So if you need to use it to get it something else, do so. Like for instance, I mean, this looks like length right there, but it's too low, so it's not in the final point. And this is actually a dished out area underneath that concrete chalk, and that ain't going to be in the final point either. So this point is not going to be like a 4-inch point, unfortunately. It just ain't. Now, the 3 hits I just took are all about accuracy, and I had a little square edge kind of thing, but it's got enough of a angle to be a platform, and I was just barely catching it. And you do sort of need to be able to do that, like right there. There's not much to that little edge, but I don't want to hit high on it. I want to just catch it and put off a flake that goes, you know, does some good with the thinning and stuff. So it's important to be able to do that, and that comes with just hitting a lot. If you're not practicing, you know, percussion, then you're not improving at percussion. And so there's a downside to workarounds. I'm not saying, oh, that hole got bigger, much bigger. That goes into that that chalky area. Huh. Interesting. You see how kind of regularized that side is getting and this side still isn't? You know, that's the way I treat turtles. I get one side kind of regularized, and then I just work up towards the turtley side, and when it gets thin enough where the edges, where I don't have to lose a lot of width or length or whatever to work on the edges, then that's when I start really aggressively doing that. I think I will maybe start doing a little of that. I'm trying not to switch to the indirect today. That lowered the middle quite a bit, although I really normally say that I want to thin the ends first, but that wasn't a dangerous shot. The problem with not using indirect is you really do need to be able to swing pretty accurately. And you can step down in size as long as you don't need to drive a flake grade for. But you still, the angles are just critical. Like, I don't know if you can see how that all blended, but, and I was hitting on the end, and so it just, you know, needs to be right. Just, that went past the center line and just sort of blended in, and that's the part that I don't really know how to tell people to do, but all I can say is what I've said before, is that I was hitting the thumb of my support hand when I started, and it got better from swinging a lot. And I don't know what kind of skills everybody that watches the videos has, but you can always try. You can do both. You can You can fudge the accuracy issue by using indirect, but then you can continue to practice direct on your lower quality rock if you want to. Look at the size of that hole. On your lower quality rock, or you know, go to a garden store and get you some bull rock or something and practice your direct and see if it doesn't improve. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I mean, you can definitely nap with indirect forever if you want. I mean, I can easily see that I could do all of my percussion with indirect if I needed to. I would just have to go on up with the sizes of the punches and everything. I'd get me some behemoth monster pieces of copper and stuff like that, and just going up in size with percussors. And I mean, at some size, you're going to be able to take a flake off a boulder. I guess I'm going to end up, I was debating whether I could try and keep that hole in a finished point, but it really is not in an optimal position for that. I mean, I think it would be a cool thing to have, but all this other stuff is just cortexy, and I got this big old chunk of chalk that's coming out, so, or gonna come out. What time is it? Great, I can't tell. 17 minutes. Be right back.